What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, Dame? I see you, cuz. Tuning in, man. I'm just trying to make sure all my levels good, everything good before I take off. Uh, this particular live was not overly thought out. Some of the lives that I've been on in my business page, I actually have PowerPoint presentations basically, and I go over some things and I try to educate you, enlighten you, and entertain you at the same time. Today will be no different, except that we just gonna kick it a little bit. That's why this is not on my business page. These particular lives are on my JP1 pages, gifted and talented pages, and my chosen one jackpot YouTube because they are more rapper related, news related. I am trying to make sure I keep both brands separated between gifted and talented and real life business solutions. So do not be confused. It is the same person, and we are, doing the same type of thing. It's just the topics are different, so I have to make sure that they're going to the proper places. And thank God for Restream, I am able to do that. So let me get into what this conversation was basically created to be about. I came up with it about an hour or so ago. A couple days ago, we lost another rapper, PNB Rock. He was assassinated basically at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. So basically, he went out to have lunch and he didn't make it home. We have encountered these type of things in our communities over and over. So it is not so new to us. We are actually becoming a little desensitized to this type of violence, but this is not normal violence. Um, we are not the only race that's subject to violence, but a lot of the other races are not worried about their leaders being taken out in such heinous acts of violence or crimes. Um, we have came to understand that being a rapper comes with a lot of headaches. Like it's a fast lifestyle. It has a lot of things within the lifestyle, and that leads to a lot more visibility. There's also a lot more vulnerability in being a rapper because you are caught between a type of lifestyle that is not conducive to internet, the rules of the internet. See, the internet, it wants to stay in your business, but if you've been in the streets in any kind of way, then you understand how vulnerable people being in your business is. As a rapper who was brought up in the streets and spent most of his life in the streets, um, I'm telling my PO I'm not in the street show, so y'all make sure that she understand that that's not what I'm talking about. But I was a street person that abided by all street rules, and even if you watch the beginning videos of my first few videos, I was always looking around. I was always noided, and I was being a street person more than a rapper. Like I couldn't even get into rapper mode, even while shooting videos or doing interviews and different things like that. And it's not to say that I've let my guard down any. I'm still alert, even more alert after dealing with the feds and the way that they play their game. So I understand how it's a weird dichotomy between being in the streets and being a rapper, being any kind of entertainer and being, from the streets and from a certain lifestyle. Because being an entertainer and being a rapper is two different type of attitudes. When you're a rapper, you want as much attention as possible because that's how you make your money. So you do things to get this type of attention that may cause you to be a target in the streets. So where you would, put the biggest chain on and stunt and talk about, how much money you have and how big your bank account is, and you want to show off your home and do different things like that in the streets, these are things that you wouldn't dare. So you are left to choose between fame and actually sometimes your life or your freedom. So where you have a lot of these rappers that are rapping about real things that are going on in the streets, and you have people that love this, like people are promoting this and they are a lot of the senseless violence in Chicago with these rappers, and they killing each other, and they killing their family members and different people because you have these guys that are literally in the middle of the streets like a King Von or somebody like that that's literally in the streets, and they are coming into newfound fame, or FBG Duck and these guys like that, and they are coming into this newfound fame, and the internet is taken to a lot of the things that the streets are saying is a no-no. So you get a lot of these guys that are bragging about killing people online. They got the new thing where I'm smoking such and such, I'm smoking Tukey, or I'm smoking whoever. And these are things that wouldn't have been thought about in the streets. If you were responsible for a murder in the streets before the internet, you wouldn't dare speak on that. You would be a fool to talk to your most closest loved ones about a murder because there is no statute of limitations on murder. So at any point, you're able to catch this case that you it's no getting away from this. So you got these guys, there are sometimes 14, 15, and some of them even ladies. They're 14, 15, 16 years old, and all they know is the internet. So they go back and forth and they start talking about we up one and you know catch up and up the score and whatever those type of attitudes are. Those attitudes lead to more violence because you killed my friend or my brother or my sister, and now you're bragging about it. So you're forcing my hand because if I don't do anything to you for doing that, then I'm at risk and the people around me are at risk because now I'm a lick. So with you dangling in my face, you're forcing my hand for me to come get back. And this is what perpetuates the violence. So now you have these RICO cases. I just fought a RICO case myself, starting in 2015. I already understood the RICO case because I'm a big mob aficionado, and I've read like most of the, at least the most important mob books, and that's where the RICO law came from. And now you have people like Murder Inc. Murder Inc. only had ties to a criminal organization through one of the members being friends or a part of that, and he may even funnel some money through there or whatever. But they made these guys who were known not to be street guys. There was nothing in the streets saying that Irv Gotti had any street credibility. Now I don't know him, but I'm just saying with guys that have real street credibility, you hear about it. You hear about a 50 Cent or you hear about a Jay Prince and these type of guys. There was nothing about Irv Gotti and Ja Rule that people were like, yeah, these real street dudes. So now you have the government using these RICO laws to shut down record labels so that they can't make money to help out the street people that they knew or that may have funded them in the beginning or whatever happened. So you have the government once again using a tool to bring down more black people. So the RICO law is basically, and I'm explaining it the way that my lawyer explained it to me. Like I said, I already had a knowledge of it, but basically, shout out to Kevin Basant. That was my lawyer on my Fed case, and the way that he made it simple was that they don't have to prove anything, but that you're a spoke in the wheel. You don't have to have any real significance. You could just be a spoke in a wheel. If you look at wheels, you see hundreds or thousands of spokes sometimes. And the government only needs to prove that you're a spoke in a wheel. And with this type of attitude, you can sell a dime bag to somebody that's being investigated for a RICO Act. And now they're putting you in the RICO Act saying that you distributed drugs. You could sell an ounce of weed. Like these are $100 ounces of weed, $75 ounces of weed. And they're trying to put you in the RICO Act. And a lot of these RICO charges, the minimum is 5 years. So where you were looking at a ticket for this bag of weed, a federal RICO Act could still charge you for weed, even though it's legal in Michigan, because it's not legally in the feds. It's not a federally legal thing. So they'll still charge you for this marijuana that's legal in your state, in your city. They have dispensaries on every other corner, but you're looking at a RICO charge for selling an ounce of weed to somebody who is being investigated for RICO. So now we're looking at these rappers And you're saying, why can't they stay out of trouble? And it's pretty simple. They can't stay out of trouble because their lifestyle is forcing them to put all this information online, to have everybody in their business. So everybody includes the feds. So now you have these feds that are like literally just watching YouTube and keeping track of these rappers. And these feds are looking for anything that you say in your video. The feds are looking for anything that you could post that gives you any ties to these criminal organizations that may just be a gang of guys that gave themselves a name to promote their rap image or to promote their party promotions or t-shirts that they sell. Now, somebody within that organization may be doing something illegal, and the person that's funding the things that they're doing may be doing something illegal. But the whole of this, the whole reason that these people are together has nothing to do with doing anything illegal. This thing that was created for the mob was created because mobsters were basically getting so high up in the mob ranks that they were never committing crimes. They were literally have money being kicked back to them, and they were investing this money in so many illegal activities, and they were doing cleaning up the money and doing things that were technically illegal because of where the funds were coming from. But they were investing in big companies like oil companies and things like that. So the RICO Act was created to stop the mob bosses from prospering while the people on the street was catching these little cases and doing their little time and coming back to riches and wealth and positions within the mob. So this mob law has turned into a law that's being misused by government agencies, and some of them are even our people. Like this is not a black and white thing. This is literally people are always campaigning for promotions within the government. So you have mayors and government officials that's pushing these prosecutors to prosecute rappers for things that they're saying in their lyrics. Now, if you dumb enough to give details to actual crimes in your lyrics, then you're asking for it. But if you're a guy that's generally talking about catching bodies or generally talking about hitting licks or generally talking about illegal things, and you have these prosecutors picking through your rhymes to make things match up with whatever they need them to match up with, then you are, if you promote that or you feel like that's right, then you can't understand the Constitution. See, the Constitution gives us a freedom of speech. Now, it doesn't give us a freedom of speech to do illegal things or to cite riots. And, it's limitations to it. But within music, which is an art form, you are free to do as you please. So, in you doing as you please, if you tell on yourself in these rhymes, that's your business. But when you have these prosecutors that's picking through these people, like it's so many organizations at this point that have music people because a lot of them are looking at it as a way to get out of the streets. So now you may be, you know, a higher up in whatever organization you claiming, and you may do something illegal. You may be a scammer or a drug dealer or something, and you pumping funds, and you got this rapper that's talking about something, and the whole of you guys get indicted. It's 20 guys on an indictment. It's 3 rappers. Now they're saying that whatever these rappers are saying is admitting to different crimes. So now you're facing charges because of what somebody said in a rhyme. They didn't have to mention your name. They didn't have to give you a shout out and say what you were doing. It's nothing like that. It's a slippery slope because once you open that door, everything is being used against you. So now you may be giving an interview and you may say, yeah, I was in the streets and I did woo, woo, woo. And now they're looking at you and tying you to guys that may be in the RICO. You may have not sold a ounce of weed in 3, 4, 5 years, but you're being RICO because of the guys that you were dealing with being RICO, and they want to just tie everything together to make their case stronger. The way the feds work is they want to round up as many people as possible, and they want to get as many people cooperating as possible. So now you end up with 20, 30, 40 people on this indictment that may have started from one person or two people being pulled over and one of them not being able to hold his or her water. So now you're fighting a whole case for your life. These RICO, basically, you have to understand how much more time a RICO case carried than, let's say, a simple conspiracy case. And that's what I ended up pleading out to. So I basically in 2015, I was indicted for selling oxycodone. And they had watched me for close to a year or whatever. They pretty much knew what I had going on, but they didn't know where things happened after me. So they pulled me over and they, got on my ass about information that I don't know nothing. So and that's another thing, y'all. Don't ever always know nothing. Like they can't tell you what you know, even though they followed me and thought they knew something. I don't know anything. And I don't know anything. I caught a case at 11. I didn't know anything then. So that's my answer for everything. So basically, once I caught this case, I said it in the song RICO, but once they pulled me over, they didn't press charges on me then. They basically told me, we've been watching you. You want to help us because it's beneficial to you. You just had a baby. You got another one on the way. They try to scare you out of information. And I'm like, dude, you know everything about me. You know that, I played this game before. I don't cooperate. I need a lawyer. Like, that's it. So that was it. Like, I literally was booked in to Livonia police station, and they let me go like 10 minutes later. Like, it was nothing to talk about. Like, y'all trying to scare me. It's cool. Let's go. Let me go. So they took all the money I had on me, my phones and everything, but let me go. So about 6 weeks later, I end up getting indicted. Like, they pulled up on me. I thought it was a hit or something. Like, I didn't know what was going on. They pulled up. It was like cars everywhere. And they snatched me and Cinco out the car. And they was like, look, you need to have somebody come get him. You got to go down here and get on whoop, whoop, whoop. So once I get down there, they ended up just giving me a bond, and I was out on bond for close to 2 years. So they gave me a little public defender, and I just went and got a lawyer. Once again, shout out to Kevin Bassan. I do that on purpose, man, because people need that type of help. And we really got through it, and it was a battle, and it cost me a lot of money, but I got through it. And I didn't win, but I didn't get the RICO charge. And basically, the way the RICO charge works is that they will stack up whatever they feel like you sold. So even though I was only caught with 270 pills, um, they ended up trying to charge me with 75,000 pills in this RICO case. So I fought, and it ended up coming down to like 6,700 pills. And I ended up getting the time that they were trying to give me to cooperate. Like the RICO charge was so high that they were like, listen, if you cooperate, we can knock this down to such and such. And I ended up just pleading out to that time once the RICO charge was dropped to a conspiracy. I'm trying to explain to y'all how detrimental the RICO charge is. It doesn't matter if you were just selling ounces of weed. Once they press this RICO charge, everything is heightened. Everything is heightened. This RICO charge is serious. And you have these rappers being RICO'd. Shout out to one of my guys, man. He ended up being RICO'd and was placed at the head of the indictment. Two of the guys that was in his gang had committed murders that had nothing to do with him. He didn't sanction the murders. He didn't tell them to do nothing. They knew that. The feds knew that. This case is on there. It's a bounty hunter blood case. And my guy ended up getting 30 years. The guys that actually did the murders got less time than him because they cooperated. Well, at least one of them cooperated. I don't want to put that on nobody that, but at least one of them cooperated. And they ended up getting less time than him. And he did nothing. He didn't tell them to kill anybody, order a hit, sanction a hit. He didn't green light anything. It's nothing in the record. Basically, he had too much information on Facebook and other social media platforms. And they put everything together and said, this is what you're doing. This is who you are. And this is what we're going to do. So he ended up dealing with a RICO charge, and he ended up fighting. And I just spoke to him recently, and he's still trying to get back in court, but he ended up with 30 years because they put him at the head of this RICO that could have just been two murder cases because these guys did something over here and these guys did something over there. And even though they are a part of my gang, they had nothing to do with my gang. So they ended up finding him guilty because he took dues every month. And they said that he had to know that they were doing illegal things to pay these dues every month. That is not a reason to take someone away from their family for 30 years. Now, if they would have said he told them to go do that murder or do a robbery that turned into a murder, or he told them to do this or that, that's one thing. I can understand that. But for you to say that it was no proof of that and was no reason for that, but the fact that he took dues every month was basically promoting criminal activity. The feds are playing a crazy game. Do not let these people on TV try to tell you that they care about the safety of our community, because they don't. All they care about is locking up black people and brown people and other forms of minority so that they could get higher in their political chain. Like, they just want to get higher established in their political life. They do not care about the safety of our community. They do not care about our kids. They are taking away our leaders. They are taking away people that can actually help people get out of the situations that they're in, because all they want to do is get higher in their political world. Do not believe the hype. In Michigan, there's truth in sentencing in the state, because they've scared the community in believing that this is better for the community. But they will give these rapists and all these type of people little to no time, and then give drug dealers 20, 30, and it was a life sentence before that they ended up retracting the law and changing the laws and everything in the early mid 2000s. And it was guys getting life for having a key of dope. So now you have the you got a key of dope and you're getting life, but this person has maybe 4 rape charges and they're getting 7, 8, 9 years. So I'm just opening the eyes before I get into too much details of how the laws work and how these people are using all of these laws to keep us incarcerated and take us away from our family. And now when you get incarcerated, your family is forced to fend for itself. So now you have our women that's forced to take care of this household, and they're forced to raise these kids and get these jobs and do everything. And it's a lot of this and that. So now you got these women, they are not in their kids' life. So now the daughters don't understand how to be women, and the sons don't understand how to be men, because the men are being stripped away from the community. So now the woman feels like she's the man of the house because she's earning money, she's taking care of the kids, she's doing everything that she feel like she have to do to survive. And then when a man comes along, you get into this type of "I don't need a man" attitude, where it's a reason that families in the 60s and 70s and all of that was two family households, and it's important that you have two-parent households. I'm sorry. So you get these two-parent households, and you think that that's an anomaly or something is crazy about that, when that's the way that it should be. So now you have these people that's taken away from our community, taking the leaders out of our community, even the leaders that have something like Kwame. You could nitpick at Kwame's political career, but Kwame is a leader. And no matter what Kwame did, he had the potential to be better. And I don't agree with a lot of things that he did, and I don't agree with a lot of the ways that he went about things. But you're taking away from leaders, and you're taking these leaders away from us, and the streets are forced to fend for themselves. So now there's no guidance, and you have these kids coming up who feel like they have to live these rap lyrics. So now you got all of these rap groups and crews and these different things that's going on, and it's no leaders. So things are a little out of place. So it's a redundant type of thing where now it's happening. And it's getting worse, because with no leadership, it's a lot different than having a little leadership. And the further you get away from somebody like a Larry Hoover or Jeff Ford or any of these type of guys, and the further you get away from these guys, you get to less and less leadership, and the whole structure of the streets is all over the place. So where you may have had the Bloods and the Crips, and you may have had, six section of these and six section of that. So you got 12 gangs in one state. Now you have 60 gangs in one state, and there's no real guidance. So everything is fragmented and everything is all over the place. But you have these rappers promoting everything illegal. You have rappers that talk about things that they're not even doing. You have rappers that's talking about selling pills or promethazine or different things like that that's never really did it. They may be around somebody who did it, and they may be around a big homie who doing it and looking out for them to help build their rap career. But now you're putting a spotlight on somebody because you got this flag on your shirt or on your coat or whatever, on your videos or whatever, and people want to look into that. The feds are watching. They're watching, as I said, they're watching videos, they're listening to music, they're keeping tabs on rappers. So now you're flying a certain flag and you're getting attention on the person that's the head of this flag. And then you want some kind of street credibility. So you mention these guys that are really in the streets, and you feel like you're basically cementing your thing, but you're actually putting a spotlight on these guys. So now you got the feds on them, and now you got to worry about guys in the streets looking for licks. So when you come to think that, like the P&B situation where you got a woman that basically sends out a location, she basically sends out a signal. It's a bat signal. I'm here. You have vultures and predators that's watching the internet and looking for things like that. And now they're looking at it, they know you slipping you out with your woman. So rappers that feel like they no longer need things that they needed in the street and don't understand the value of security and being safe, they're putting themselves on Front Street, and a lot of it is turning up bad. And I remember in the early 2000s when 50 Cent was running around with police officers as security, and people were dogging him and, oh man, you running around with the police. And 50 Cent had real street beef. He was lucky to be alive, and he hired who he felt like could protect his life. You got somebody bringing in 10, 20, $30 million a year or more. Only a fool will let them walk around without security. You talking about a whole bag. So if you make $10 million a year, why not spend $1 million a year on security? What makes you think it's okay for you to dangle riches and spoils and jewels and everything in front of these wolves' face and not have repercussions? See, life is not the internet. So it is not PNB Rock's fault that he's dead, and it's not his woman's fault for the her sending out her location or whatever she did. It's not their fault. It's a bigger plight. This is a whole thing, y'all. Like, you're thinking that, oh, he should have knew better. And maybe he should have. And maybe she should have. But why are we so comfortable with us taking each other out? Why are we so comfortable with us robbing each other or killing each other? It's been other rappers that have killed people for reaching for their chains. It's been other people in a regular community that has killed people for trying to rob them. So what has made this okay? Like, what make you think it's okay to come take something that don't belong to you and to do that without repercussions? So in all honesty, like I said, I'm a rapper that's been in the streets most of his life. Like, I've just decided to change my life a few years ago, and that's because I bumped my heads a few times after the state bid and the Fed bid. I mean, you don't want to keep dealing with these people when you go back and you looking at a habitual offender label. You're looking at, I can do something that's a 2-3 year crime, and they're going to give me 10, 15, 20 years probably because of my criminal history. So now I have to be more cautious. So in me being more cautious, I have to get out the streets, because being in the streets come with certain things. I'm not going to be in the streets and, oh my God, I don't want to touch a gun. Being in the streets requires that I have something close to me in case a dummy want to do something dumb. So being a rapper, you're putting yourself at certain risk, and you don't have to run around with a gun and risk your freedom. but you have to hire security to do that for you because you can't get away from dummies doing dumb things. You cannot change people and say, why can't we all just get along? That is not the type of world that we're living in. We're living in a world full of vultures and predators. So you have to prepare yourself to not become a victim to these vultures and predators. In not being a victim to these vultures and predators, you have to overthink things sometimes. You have to be overly cautious. You could be somewhere that you deem safe. Nipsey Hussle was killed at his store, something that he built from the ground up after hanging out there, growing up there, and doing good things for his community. He actually went to the store to look out for somebody and ended up losing his life. His security is probably still waking up in tears because he felt like, man, I should have been there. I could have helped. I could have saved that from happening. Even if it had been me, Nipsey would have been alive. If you are famous, if you can afford security, it was people that was coming as being a rapper. I go out and do shows and I had personal security. I had personal security. They didn't charge me an arm and a leg to come out there. And it's been times where my security had to stop me from doing something crazy. You have to be around people you trust. So either you hire a security company or you hire somebody that does security that you know personally, or you hire some off-duty officers, whatever you need to do to protect the bag, because as a rapper, you are the bag. There are people depending on you. You're creating jobs and opportunities. So you have to protect that by all means. If you can spend $200,000 on a necklace, then you can spend 50, 60, $100,000 on security because it's very important. And that doesn't mean that you won't ever be caught lacking because life happens. But it means that you're taking precautions to make sure that you are giving yourself a chance, that you are putting yourself first because people are depending on you. When you watch an interview like Nori interview on the Drink Champs and you see somebody like Young Dolph, who's a multimillionaire, talking about how he couldn't be killed in his own neighborhood, you understand that, my guy, you've been shot at. You was in a sprinter truck or a tour bus that was shot at 100 times. What makes you think you're untouchable? What makes you believe that you could just run around and do things like a regular person? Somebody is attempting to kill you. There's some kind of thing on your life. And you want to take a risk like that for some cookies? And once again, I'm not blaming Dolph or I'm not blaming Nipsey or PNB Rock or anybody else that's being killed in this type of fashion. But I'm saying as a famous artist or as somebody who has so much to lose, you have to value your life. Now, is rap a dangerous profession? Of course it's not. Of course it's not. It's like any other profession. The thing is, you don't see basketball players out here getting robbed and killed every other week. You have to let go of the lifestyle and understand that whatever you're doing now has to be done with calculation. You may want to go to the grocery store and you may need security at the grocery store. Why are you out with $200,000 worth of jewelry on and not $10,000 worth of security? You are the bag. If you are getting paid for a show, then some of that has to be invested in security to make sure you make it home safe. And it's not the rapper's fault. I'm saying this is the world that we're living in. You cannot change the world. All you can change is your attitude towards the world. Stop slipping. Stop it. Now, I've watched a lot of up and coming rappers feel like they have to do things a certain way just to be famous. You want views, you want likes, you want shares, you want something to go viral to help you garner a larger fan base. But a lot of the things that you're doing is putting you at risk. You open up a briefcase, maybe you count 50,000, 100,000, $200,000, and you on live. Somebody feel like, hey, I know where he at. Let's go get that money. You feel like, oh man, I got 2,000 likes on this video. I'm gonna keep going. So you dragging this live out, and somebody kicking your door in. So it's a counterproductive type of attitude, because if you lay back and you doing whatever you doing, you may not get as many followers or many likes, as many whatever. But if you putting all your business online, you probably setting yourself up for the ultimate failure. So you have to find a median to what's comfortable for you, because as a rapper, you are being preyed upon by the government, law enforcement, by guys in the streets. You may even be preyed upon about by your family. Your family may set you up. You don't know who you told no to that's not feeling like hearing no this month. You can't please everybody, and you can't appease everybody. So you have to protect yourself at all costs. That means not sharing your location everywhere you go. You have certain occupational hazards. If you have a show, you have to promote it. You may be in the studio and you feel like you have to go live to show people that you're working. But other rappers using these studios and they know where you at. You may have a good meal that costs $1,500 and you want to brag that you just ate up $1,500. But it's a lot of people who know where this restaurant at because they follow other people home from this restaurant. You do not know when it's your time. You can do everything right and get hit by a car just crossing the street. But what you can do is control your environment and control what you do. So that is something that you have to think about, or it could cost you your life and your freedom. I don't like to take these lives past 45 minutes. So I'm gonna start wrapping this up. I don't see a lot of questions, but I will answer anything that's in the comment thread once this is posted. Continue to be safe out there. Live your life. Rest in peace to PNB Rock and Nipsey and Young Dolph and Mo3 and every other rapper that's been a victim to the streets in the past few years, man. Like, it's serious, y'all. It's serious, man. We got to do better, and we got to do better in everything, y'all, because our life depends on it and our kids' lives depend on it. That's real life.